I'm not gonna make you watch like a ton of Donald Trump speaking at last night's show because I don't wanna see that and I don't think you wanna see that. But I do wanna show you just a couple of quick little things to prove a point not about me, not about you, but about the people in the room. Take a look at this.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. My administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
Okay, so I've been trying in acknowledging that these are historic times that I want to acknowledge when history is being made, records are being set. And usually we do that sort of sarcastically, where we're like, hey, his approval ratings are dropping faster than ever before, which is always a lot of fun. But I'm pretty sure that in that video you saw, history was made. Now I have to acknowledge before I make this claim, I haven't been on every porn site on the internet, but I think that's the biggest gathering of cucks I've ever seen in one place. I don't think Pornhub has ever matched that. I know it's a growing fetish and all that, but I think that's the most cucks they've ever gathered just in one place to be mocked to their face. But when I say that, you might think that I'm just being flippant, and I guess that I am. Donald Trump looked at them and said they need legislation. Legislation. What do we have? A Senate, a Congress? All we need is a new president. And all of the people that he just said are irrelevant were like, yeah, I'm nothing. Here's my power. You can take it. I've worked my whole life for this. It doesn't need to mean anything, though. I don't have to pass any bills. And if I do, you don't have to actually abide by them. Take my power. I love it. Here's my wife, to complete the metaphor. And so we had a lot of that. And you might think, okay, well, that was only the first of the 3 clips. The other 2, why did you include the thing about Greenland or about Panama? How he's once again saying the thing, we're gonna take them or whatever. And like I'm like half on the verge of being like, this is just the stuff he's saying to distract us. But I don't know, he did the trade war and he pardoned all the January 6 people. So maybe we should stop with the, oh, he's just threatening things he won't do. But regardless of whether he does or not, the cuckery is in them cheering like, yeah, let's invade Greenland and Panama. This is totally a thing that I've always wanted. This is consistent with my foreign policy values and stances throughout my career. This is totally a thing that if it wasn't Donald Trump, if it was some other Republican, we'd be pushing for the same thing. And I'm not just merely clapping for any insane, like, I try not to swear, bit of poo that pours out of his mouth. This is something that I actually want. But again, they don't get to have any experience, any stances, any principles, any values. It's whatever Trump says. And they just have to stand up and seal clap for him. And I think it's utterly embarrassing. And I have other thoughts, I'll give them. But that said, Sharon, what did you make of what we saw? And if you want to talk more broadly about the speech, feel free.
No, it was pretty much the same. I, for some reason, trained my eye on the 2 people seated behind the leader of the free world. For how much longer, we'll see. And the expressions by this Johnson character, I believe he is Speaker of the House, were just, how do you go home to your family after this? It was so pathetic. And then the standing ovation when the President of the United States said, no more, well, to boil it down, it was something about representation and elected officials taking over, and we're not gonna have people who are unelected doing things in our government.
We'll get to that.
Okay, right, it's something like that. You'll have it, it's coming up in the show, wait for that. As people laughed, they stood up and they gave him a standing ovation because he is the president. And even the dumb stuff he says is just remarkable. Chef's kiss for them. They just loved it. I just thought it was, I want psychologists to study this. I really do. How do you put on this performance?
How do so many people who are defined by their ambition and selfishness allow themselves to be so utterly unmanned? I don't, again, I'm not saying it's literal cuck stuff, but it is a political version of it. That like, I'm not just joking. Like, there's this strange thing where they are getting off on having everything that defines them as politicians being taken away from them. And it's just very strange. I don't know. You mentioned with Mike Johnson how he goes home. I know that his kid gets a notification if he watches a porn video. If he stars in a cuck video, does his son get a notification for that? I don't know how the technology actually works. I'm not a weirdo. But anyway, yeah. And so we're gonna play one more clip for you in a sec. Look, I'm gonna keep it real. In past years, in his first term, we would have probably spent the first 40 minutes of the show going over all the insane things he says. And I don't know, I don't want to do it. I think partly because everybody's coming out of this speech and being like, it's the most wildly partisan, not State of the Union ever. And like, yeah, no, it was utterly deranged. It was the rambling, it was campaign rally ramblings. It was calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. It's beneath the the dignity of our country and our government, all that stuff. But to me, just very much like his speeches always are. It was deranged, and I think partly because he knows that his approval rating is already dropping, that people don't like what they're seeing. And so he kind of has to get it all in while he can. Even his physical presence to me was kind of diminished. He seemed to be holding himself up on the podium the whole time, like hunching over it like some strange gargoyle. And to me, didn't project strength at all. I know that he's insulting people, and that by very weak men is they hear that as strength, but it just seemed like a guy who could barely hold himself aloft as he does what he has to do. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?